Cricket Life Stories with me, Neel Khagram, and today we're joined by Owais Shah. Owais, thank you for your time today.
No problem.
So born in Karachi, Pakistan, talk me through your earliest cricketing memories as such.
As I've grown up in Pakistan, there's a one sport that really is played literally in every street corner, inside the house, outside the house, flats, any place you can find to play cricket. Cricket's played there, and that's very much how I grew up, how I got into cricket. My typical day would be, say, go to school, come back, and by the time I've done my homework, once I've come home, I'm literally go down to the street that I used to live in. So we used to live in flats, and the street outside the flats, that's where we used to play cricket, football, hockey, but generally cricket. And in the evening, I'd just play cricket. I would come back upstairs, have some dinner, and then I'd go back out again in the corridor outside, literally the outside of the door of my flat, and play corridor cricket with my friends till like 9:30, 10 o'clock, till it's time to go to bed. That's how I literally was raised. By the time I was 7, I think I was 7, 8, my dad was working in the airline. He got transferred to England. And when I came to England, I joined a cricket club called Wickham House Cricket Club in Ostley, very, very close to Sky Sports Studios. And I started playing cricket there. And I played there for a couple of years till I was about 10. And then by the time I was 10, my dad got posted back to England. He worked in the airline. So we had to move back. But because I was playing club cricket in England, they were very much interested in me to sort of keep coming back and forth because my dad worked in the airline. At that time, airline tickets were my dad could get in for practically nothing. So it just made a lot of sense for me to keep coming back and forth and playing cricket here, playing cricket in Pakistan. And this is really at the club where I started playing proper hard cricket ball cricket. And I guess I did well during the ages of 11, 12, 13 and 14.
There was a famous innings when you were at 12, that I read that you played for men in a men's game, you got 150.
I think that...
Or was that just one of many innings?
I got a few runs, I guess. I was playing men's 4th 11, 3rd 11 cricket at 12. And I worked my way through the ranks. And by the time I was 14, I was a regular in the first 11 at Wickham House Cricket Club. So I guess, my progression was very much straight. As soon as, I progressed in men's 3rd or 4th 11, they would push me into the seconds. And then as soon as I did well in seconds, boom, you're in the first team. And it was a really, really good learning curve for me and learning a lot of stuff at a very early age. Because I was just, in the dressing room with grown men on most weekends, playing cricket, discussing cricket, learning from them. And obviously, because I was performing, I was very much welcomed in the dressing room, and everybody liked, and everyone kept pushing me forward to say, go on, you play there, you do this, you do that. And I absolutely loved it. And by the time I was 15, I got asked to play in a Middlesex trial for the Middlesex second 11. So all the age groups, under 11, 12, 13, 14s, I played for the Middlesex under 11s, 12, 13, 14s. And by the time I was 15, I played under 19 cricket, and then I ended up playing this trial game, I guess you could call it, against the England under 19s for Middlesex second 11. And I performed in there. I got a 50 odd in the second innings, 50 odd in my first innings. I think maybe 20 odd in the second innings. And I guess I impressed the coach, who said, okay, look, you've done well. We want to offer you a professional contract. So, that was music to my ears. And I was like, wow, I can actually play professional cricket when I'm not at school. Because obviously I was still at school.
Yeah, I was going to say, were you academic or was it just cricket?
No, I absolutely loved cricket. Watching cricket, even if England were in Australia, I'd stay up most of the night watching them. But yeah, look, cricket was my first love, and I absolutely loved it. But my parents wouldn't just let me play cricket. They said, no, you've got to go to school, you've got to do your studies. And then when you have time off in your summer holidays, yes, you go and play professional cricket. And Middlesex were happy with that. But because I was only 15, so I was only playing second 11 cricket. So I guess it was a learning curve for me to start sort of get a taste of what it was like to become a professional cricketer. At the age of 15, I guess I probably didn't appreciate at that time what it took to be a professional cricketer, because what I wanted to do was go and just play cricket. You know, I didn't
natural
really
talent.
I didn't really realize what responsibilities came with being a professional cricketer at 15, and I didn't really have to worry about it. And good on the coaches really for them not to make me feel that way, because I didn't, I guess, need to worry about it. I just needed to come and enjoy my cricket. I was still 15. I was learning. And it was only till I was probably 19, 20 when I stopped my studies, because my cricket was taking over practically my life. And that's when I became a full-time professional. And at that time, I realized what it meant to become a professional cricketer. But I guess at the age of 15 up until the age of 19, I loved those 4 or 5 years, just learning about the game and just really absolutely enjoying it. Not to say I didn't enjoy my cricketing career, but at that time it was literally, hey, I'm going to go play a game of cricket. I'll get paid for it. Great. I'm not really fussed about the money at the moment. It's all about going and enjoying myself playing a game of cricket and hopefully doing well at it.
So your first actual game in the first team for Middlesex was the age of 17?
Correct, yeah.
Do you feel you're ready at that age?
Well, you say 17. My first class debut, yes.
Yeah.
But in the first team, it was at 16. I played a one-day game for Middlesex first 11, batting at 6, I think, at Lords against Nottinghamshire. It was a one-day game. I got 14 runs and I was caught and bowled in that game. So that was my first taste of first team cricket at 16. But yeah, my first class debut was at 17. Funny enough, was also against Nottinghamshire County Cricket Club.
And again, do you feel you're ready? Or was it?
Yeah, I felt ready. I felt
when you're in your youth, you're just saying, just roll with it.
Like I said, those years between 15 to 19, I was just loving cricket. It was amazing. It was, I'm playing there, I'm playing here, I'm playing in the first team, I'm playing in the same dressing room as, Philip Tufnell, Mark Ramprakash, Mike Gatting, Angus Fraser, all these guys who have, I've seen on TV and followed their careers for Middlesex. All of a sudden, they're my teammates. I couldn't quite understand the level of, probably not the level, but couldn't probably comprehend as to what I had probably achieved at that time to be sharing a dressing room with these legends of Middlesex.
You mentioned 2 batsmen there, Gatting and Ramprakash.
Yeah.
Were they inspirations for you?
Oh, extremely. Ramprakash was a bit of a hero of mine growing up. And I'll tell you why it was that. So when I was under 11s, I played for Middlesex under 11s and I had a really good season. And the coach, his name was David Green, he compared me to Mark Ramprakash. At that time, I didn't actually know who Ramps was. I didn't know who he was. And I was like, well, who is this Mark Ramprakash? So I sort of looked him up and saw, okay, wow, he's a good player. I saw him play and I thought, yeah, he's a good player. Okay, I say, well, maybe I could be as good as him because he's a Middlesex first 11 regular player and he's playing for England, so he must be good.
Must be good, yeah.
So he was a bit of a hero, so I looked up to him. And he was very inspirational. And obviously Mike Gatting, I knew who Mike Gatting was. Even when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old, I knew who he was. So, being in the same dressing room with him and just listening to him talking about batting. If I had some batting problems, I would talk to him about, I'd say, Gat, what would you do in this situation? How would you play a spinner? Because he was a good player of spin. And just trying to tap into his knowledge, trying to tap into his experience of playing international cricket. And there were 2 absolute legends of the game who I was very, very lucky enough to be in the same dressing room at that age, where my learning years.
It's an age where you kind of soak in all the information.
Of course, and to have, 2 guys like that, extremely professional, and just a great sort of wealth of knowledge there, just sitting there to be tapped into. Yeah, it was great to, share a dressing room with them too.
And then 1998, you actually skippered the under-19 England team that actually won the tournament.
Yes, so England under-19 stuff, and England under-17s and all under England 15, all that kind of stuff sort of came along when I was sort of 14, 15 years old. I'll tell you a funny story. I went for, when I was under 15s, when I was 14 years old, I was asked to go for South of England trials. I went along, I did okay, but I didn't get in. So, okay, I didn't get into, I was picked for South of England, but it was South of England trials to get into the England under-14 team.
Right.
If that makes sense. And I didn't get in. I didn't, I guess, perform very well, which was fine. But during that year, I was playing for Middlesex under-15s as a 14-year-old because I played a year above my age group. So we were playing a game against Essex under-15s, whose coach was also the South of England under-15 coach, who said, "You've played really well. Would you mind coming along for the South of England team?" Why not? I went along, I got in, I did well, and I still didn't get picked in the England under-15 team. They announced the team, they went, "No, you're not in it." Okay, I come home. The next day, I get a phone call saying, "You're in the England team because one of the players who was picked has broken his thumb." That player was Andrew Flintoff.
No way.
So obviously he was injured, so I had to replace Freddie. And we were playing some games against the England under-16s at Oundle School, where I ended up scoring a double hundred against England under-16s. So I was 14 years old. I was playing for the England under-15s against the England under-16s, and I scored 232 at Oundle School, which was, I guess, probably the innings that really announced myself on the England under-15 stage or the Middlesex second 11 stage or any, the young schoolboy kind of cricket that was happening. I announced myself with those innings. Not too many people were scoring double hundreds at that age, I guess. And and then I guess from then on, things sort of went on from there, and I ended up playing for England under-17s, England under-19s. And then the reason I told you that story about Freddie was because when I was 17, I got picked for England under-19s to tour the West Indies. But I couldn't make it on the tour because my qualifications and passport were not ready in time for the tour. So guess who replaced me in the England under-19 team? Andrew Flintoff. Yeah. So he goes onto tour, does really well, and obviously, his career obviously went on to represent England at all levels. And that was a funny story. But so then when I turned 19, I had all this experience playing England youth cricket, and it just made sense, I guess, for them to make me England 19 captain. The World Cup came along, and
were you a natural captain? Do you feel?
I never really captained much schoolboy cricket, so
come natural to you?
I loved it. I enjoyed it. Do
you think it helped your batting? Do you see nowadays a lot of criticism of certain players?
I don't think it affected my batting at all, whether it was a positive or a negative way. It not something I thought about when I captained, whether it's going to impact on my batting, or when I was batting, did I feel tired or anything like that. I actually loved it. I actually loved captaining because I did it in my own style. I've never been a guy who's very, sergeant major. No, we're going to do it this way. I've never been that kind of person. I'm very, very much more trying to soak in from what the team wants, and then try and make the best decision. What is the best for the team, whether guys like it or not. That's life. But I would always take people's opinion and just more sort of discuss stuff and try and always have a reason for my actions. And that's how I sort of captained it. And we went on to win the Under-19 World Cup.
You got 50 in the final?
I got 50 in the final. It wasn't a smooth tournament for us by any stretch of imagination. We lost to Bangladesh. We lost to India. How we qualified for the final, I do not know. The coaches weren't happy with us. John Abrahams was a coach. I think if you ever speak to him, I don't think he was happy with us as a group of players. We weren't really playing to our potential. I think we might have been caught going out a few nights out. I remember Phil Neal, who's the current England manager. He was our tour manager, and he certainly wasn't happy with us. But somehow we managed to sneak into that final. We got into the semi-final against Australia, and we had to beat them in, I think, 29 or 30 overs because we were chasing a target. So we won the toss, we bowled, we rolled them quickly, but then we had to chase that target in under 30 overs. And I think we managed to do that and qualified for the final. And once the final arrived, we were, I think, far too good for New Zealand on the day. Stephen Peters from Essex at that time, he had a really, really good tournament. I think he got semi-final 100 and a final 100. So he was on fire. And I guess on a personal note, I had a very up and down tournament. But I guess for me, getting runs in a final just sort of what was the icing on the cake a little bit, because Stephen had a wonderful tournament. He had a really good final. He did well. And then I sort of came in right towards sort of the end with Graham Swan. Actually, we both sort of saw us home, and me sort of somehow getting the winning runs and lifting the trophy.
You say you had an up and down tournament, but I did read a quote from Rob Key, who said that you were probably the one player that they tipped for greatness. So you go on from that tournament to be picked for the England A side. I think you were age 17.
No, so it wasn't from that. I got picked for England A team at 17. So that was 2 years before that tournament.
2 years before, right?
So I got picked. So I had a couple of decent performances when I was playing a lot of England schoolboy cricket. When I was 17, I was playing for England under 19s against New Zealand.
Right.
And I had a really, really good series in England. I got lots of runs up in, I think we were playing in Worcestershire, we played at Manchester, wherever, Old Trafford. And I had a really good summer that year. And that winter, they were announcing an England A team, and they said that there's going to be one player who's going to get picked from that under 19 group, who's going to be going to go onto that trip. And to be honest, we all thought that's going to be a guy called David Sales, who was a bit of a hero of mine as well. Although he was a year above, I sort of looked up to him a lot because he was a phenomenal talent. Probably one of the most talented players I've ever played with or against. And we all thought it would always be David, because he was just a class above everyone who would get picked. And just to my surprise, I got picked. I couldn't really understand why. But yeah, I mean, I was more than happy to get on that trip, and ended up going on tour to Australia. And I had a decent tour. I got some runs against Stuart McGill in the first game, where our team struggled. I think I was the only one who got runs. I think both innings. It was a 2 or 3 day game. I can't remember, but it was a double innings game, and I think I got 17 both innings. Played McGill reasonably well, and had a good tour. Had a good tour of Australia, and absolutely loved being involved in that setup of England A and England under 19s, and it was when you're playing England A, you actually also realise that's one step away from playing for the country in a test match, in a one-day international, in a T20. Obviously, T20 wasn't around then.
Give you the hunger?
Oh, don't worry about that, mate. I had hunger.
You always had it.
I had hunger since I was probably, 10 years old when I started playing red ball cricket. I realised, and without sounding arrogant, I realised that I could play cricket. And I just always had this belief that
I was going to ask, you always had the belief that you were going to play at the highest level?
I had this belief that I'm going to play cricket on TV. I just had this thing that I used to remember staying awake the summer, watching cricket and stuff on TV. I would stay awake till about 10:30, even sometimes 10 to 11. I remember the highlights used to come on pretty late on, I think, BBC Two sometimes. And I would always stay up and watch those highlights. And I always remembered watching highlights or watching any test match, always thought I'm going to be on that TV. When it will be, who it will be for, I do not know. But I'm going to be playing cricket on TV one day. So I always had that belief. And I guess, that belief in a way, I think looking back, realizing that, yes, I knew I was good enough. And I guess it was just a matter of time as to when that dream comes true.
So that time did come in 2001, where you get your ODI debut against Australia.
Correct, yes.
How was that feeling when you finally got that cap in your hand?
Yeah, amazing. It was funny actually, because I got picked in the squad because Graham Thorpe got injured. So I got a phone call saying, look, you've got to replace Thorpe in the squad. Get yourself down to Bristol. So, got in a car next day, boom, got down myself to Bristol. We had a practice the night before the game in the evening, and we had a practice. I didn't really have much of a practice. I had a few throwdowns because I wasn't expected to play. Michael Vaughan was supposed to play because he was going to be he was already in the squad, so he played instead of Graham Thorpe. So I was going to sort of cover for Michael Vaughan in a way. And we turned up to the one day international. It was an afternoon game, I think it was, and they said, "Oh, Vaughan's hurt his thumb. You're in." So I was like, "Whoa!" I wasn't expecting that. And, you know, so I didn't have the old sleepless night. Oh my God, I'm going to play tomorrow morning. How am I going to play? You know, you almost sort of play that first innings in your head the night before about 10 times and probably struggle to sleep. I didn't have any of that because I wasn't expected to play. I was just like, okay, you know, make sure the players have everything, you know, be the 12th man duties, as boring as they are, but it is at an international game. It's my first chance to be with, you know, all these international players. I think Alex Stewart was the captain. I was just loving it. I was just excited to just be there in the dressing room with those guys and wasn't expected to play. But then obviously, you know, the nod came. It was sort of almost at the 11th hour, and then I got my gear, had a few throws, had a quick net, and then off I went and had a little partnership with my friend late Ben Hollyoak. And it was great. You know, I walked to the pit, I walked to the wicket. I think I remember facing Brett Lee. My first ball in international was against Brett Lee, who he bowled a short. It went past there, and I was like, "Whoa, that was quick." Obviously, didn't say that, and I just pretended to have it all under control. But tell you what, my heart was beating pretty fast.
Yeah, I was going to say, it might sound like an obvious thing, but did you notice the difference, the step up, the international level, the pace, the skill level?
I did when Brett Lee was running in, my first game against Brett Lee in an international, my first international game against Brett Lee, I mean. He was fast, geez. And, but you know, once you're in there, you know, you don't think, oh, well, I'm not cut out for this. You know, you don't think that. You just think, okay, this is what it is. Let's just do what I have to do. And luckily, Mark Wall was bowling at the other end. So I quickly got a single, got to sweep the ball, got a single off the mark. I thought, right, I haven't got a naught in international cricket. And off I went, and got, like I said, I had a little partnership with Ben Hollyoak at that stage. I think we were struggling a little bit, got a reasonable score. And then a certain Ricky Ponting for Australia came along, cruised his way to 100, and we got hammered in that game, unfortunately.
How would you summarise the first year and a bit in international cricket yourself? I know you got your first 50 against Pakistan. But then, would it be fair to say a bit of inconsistency?
Oh yeah, very much so. My first year and a half in international cricket was it was frustrating, and I'll tell you why. Because the more and more I played, the more and more I realised it's a step up. But how do I cope with that step up? You know, is
it a mental side of things?
I don't know about mental. I think it was more realizing that, you know, the ball is doing certain things, and their skill level is so much higher. I probably wasn't prepared for it, and I think once I've realized that, and I found myself out of the team, when I went back into county cricket, I realized that I had to become more consistent and even more technically sound if I got another opportunity to be able to go in there and try and then dominate and be able to, be in a contest against the likes of Shane Warne or Hayden batting or Gilchrist or McGrath bowling, you know, all that kind of cricketers. You got to be able to hold your own. You can't just sort of thing, you know, look around and go, well, you know what cricket's like. When you're out there, and it's you against the other guys, and you got to perform. So I think I realised that looking back, and then when I went back into county cricket, trying to become more consistent and more, just technically more sound. You're dead right. I was inconsistent, but I guess I was just. To be honest, I was just enjoying it so much. I didn't worry too much about it without realizing, oh, you know what? I'm actually not really contributing enough to warrant selection. And by the time I realized that, I found myself out of the team. So, rightly so, I think I was dropped. But then, you know, I realized that I really got to change and improve quickly to get back in.
There's also a little bit said about your fielding.
Yeah.
Do you think that criticism again was fair?
You know what? I found that fielding...
Or was it just a tag that you just got branded with and it's, something that people just rolled with unfairly?
I think, I wouldn't say I was the fastest. But on the same breath, I wouldn't say I was the slowest. And I just found that it was a tag that people sort of put on me for no apparent reason. It's not like I was dropping catches any more than, say, someone else. I was holding catches. I might drop the odd one, like most people. But I just found that the commentators would often focus on me to say, well, this guy is not maybe fielding right or catching the ball or diving over the ball or whatever it may be.
Did you go away and work hard at it? Or was it just something that you just thought, it's just unfair criticism?
No, I would never say, oh no, it's just unfair. I think if somebody is raising a point, then I would look at it and try and improve it. So I started addressing my fitness and starting addressing my fielding and trying to make sure that, if I do get another opportunity, they couldn't sort of point a finger at me to say, hey, this guy's not really the best in the field. So that kind of stuff, yes, was there, and I listened to it, but I tried to make sure I did something about it.
So you go away in county cricket, 2004, 2005, you score a bag full of runs, over 1,000 in both seasons. In 2004, you were deputising for Andrew Strauss as a skipper for Middlesex. Just due to some bad results for the team, you were stripped of the captaincy. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, pretty low actually.
Your boyhood club.
I thought it was pretty poor. I thought, you're dead right. I was stripped of the captaincy. We had some results not go our way. We lost, I think, against Warwickshire at Lords, and we also got hammered against Gloucestershire away. And I got a phone call after, I think this was only after like 5 or 6 games of captaining the team. And John Emery rang me up and said, look, the committee are thinking about getting rid of you as captain, which I was absolutely shocked to hear about it. And about an hour later, John rang me up and said, yep, you're not captain anymore, which really, really hurt me because I felt that it was only after 6 games. It's not like a whole summer or half a summer. This is after 6 games of 4-day cricket, and you're sacking me because some results haven't gone our way. But, they decided to make that decision, the club, and it went ahead. So I sort of...
How did that make you feel?
Pretty bad, pretty crap, to be honest. I was disappointed.
Disappointed in the club?
Extremely, extremely disappointed. And I told John that, look, I'm disappointed at the way I've been treated by the club. But it's the decision they've made. I'm not going to go against it. If that's what they want, then carry on. And I decided to make Ed Joyce captain for the rest of the summer. And then the following year, I think the captain was Ben Hutton. I think he captained us the following summer. I lost a lot of love for Middlesex after the way I was treated by the committee.
Did you ever think about leaving?
Not at that time, no. At the end of the day, I was, I still wanted to play my cricket at Middlesex. Okay, I wasn't captain, which I felt was very unfair. I didn't really get a good crack of the whip. How can you judge someone after 6 games? I do not know. I was very disappointed, but it was what it was. And I just decided to really, really focus and really channel all my energy into my batting and become the best player I could be at the club. And I decided that, I'm going to really try and really almost sort of make a statement with my batting. Try and get lots and lots of runs, really improve and just be the best player I could be. And that's exactly what I tried to do once that had happened.
So that period, was that, do you reckon, the best you've batted?
No, I wouldn't say it's the best I've batted. I think you end up as a professional cricketer, there are phases that you bat really well, and there are phases where things are not going to plan and you just try and hang in there and survive. I've played some innings for Middlesex, some innings For England or some innings all over the world where I was fortunate enough to play, I would say were my best innings. I wouldn't say I was playing the best cricket, but I was playing some good brand of cricket.
So having a look at your stats here, average 53, scoring 1,336 in 2004 and averaging 65 in 2005. They very, very respectable stats.
Yeah, I think that came about, I think after that summer when I got sacked as captain. I went and saw Azharuddin. I sort of got in touch with Mohammad Azharuddin.
How did that come about?
Played for India, obviously.
Yeah.
A friend of my dad's came and watched me play for Middlesex, and he said a couple of things about my game, which sort of hit home a little bit. I said, yeah, I agree with certain things he said. He said, you know what, I don't really know much, but I know a guy who does know a lot about cricket, and his name is Mohammad Azharuddin. I said, well, yeah, we all know who he is. He said, look, I can connect you to him, and just, you ring him, you sort it out, and see where you can go with it. So I rang him up, and he said, yeah, come over, and we'll do some batting together. He was trying to open an academy, but we hadn't opened at the time. But he said, just come over anyway. I will do a week's worth of batting with you, and we can see where your game can go.
Over in India?
Over in India. So I got myself a flight, booked myself a hotel, boom, on the plane. I went there for a week. Funny enough, Azharuddin picked me up from the airport, which was like, wow, it's like really shocking.
So hospitable, yeah.
Ex-Indian captain coming to pick some county cricketer up. But, whatever it was, I'm so grateful to him. And yep, he took me to my hotel. He said, okay, look, obviously you're booked in here, stay. I'll pick you up tomorrow afternoon. We'll go to the nets and we'll do this every day. He also had a gym nearby. He said he could use that. So yeah, it was a good week's work. He would pick me up, we'd go to the nets. He would say, you bat, and then I would bat for about an hour. Then he would bat himself and show me certain things that he said I could improve on. And we did this for about a week. And then when I came back to England, for the start of that 2004 summer, I made those particular changes to my game, which really, really helped me become a better player. And my stats proved that. As I improved, 1,300 and then 1,700 runs, that's the next 2 years. And that sort of got me back into the international team. And look, I really, really owe a lot to Mohammad Azharuddin for sort of taking me on for that trip and really helping my game. And yeah, it was really, I guess, down to me really trying to focus on becoming the best batter in the world. And who better to speak to about batting for a guy who's played 99 times for his, captain. Oh no, I think he's played 99 times for his country as a test match cricketer, and captained his country. So yeah, I just felt, if I want to be the best player I can be, let's try and speak to a best player in the world.
So you're in this rich vein of form at the time, but did you feel there was an opportunity to get into that England side? Obviously, you're around that period in that 2005 series against Australia, the famous team. So did you feel there was a chance for you to still break in?
I always believed that if I performed, the selectors cannot ignore me. It's just impossible. When I'm putting those kind of numbers on the board of averaging 65 with 1,700 runs to my name, how you can ignore that?
So I know there's a huge belief in consistency in selection, but I know in that Australian series, like Ian Bell didn't score the number of runs that he probably would have liked. There was an injury to Simon Jones, and they chose to bring in Paul Collingwood. Did you feel that there was a bit hard done by not to get even like a sniff, or was it a case of?
I think Paul Collingwood at that time was playing, I think, a lot of one-day cricket for England. I know Duncan Fletcher liked him a lot as a cricketer. So to be honest, that didn't really surprise me that Paul Collingwood got the nod. Although I was scoring a lot of runs in the summer, I'm sure Paul Collingwood as well. But I guess at the end of the day, if a coach wants a particular player in, he will get him in as long as they're performing. So yeah, to be honest, that didn't really surprise me. But I knew that if I just kept scoring my runs, my opportunity will come at some stage. And funny enough, although I didn't get selected that winter, I was part of the academy.
You got selected for the England B?
England A.
Is that what they called it?
Yeah. Call it, yeah. And I got picked for the tour to the West Indies, but by the time we as the A team got to the West Indies, there were a couple of injuries in India in the main team. So they obviously flew me over from the West Indies to India and to come and join the test squad there. And I guess it was my opportunity then to say, okay, how can I get myself back into the England fold? And I guess you do need luck in sport, and I had that luck during the third test in India. Deciding test match where we were 1-0 down, we ended up going on to win the test match, and I got a few runs in that game.
88.
88 and 38 on debut, yes. Absolutely loved it. I again, night before the game, the team was selected and my name was not in it. And I remember going to bed that night. My wife at the time was there, and I said to her, I can't believe I'm not picked in this last test. So I have to do all that work that I've just done in the summer again next summer to get in there. And I felt a little bit disappointed. Anyway, I went to bed. And even in the morning when I remember having a shower, and I was still so gutted in the shower, just stood there just having a shower, just thinking, I got to do all that work again to get my chance. And by the time I got downstairs, had breakfast, got onto the coach, as I was walking onto the coach, Duncan Fletcher said to me, prepare to play. And I said, okay. And I walked past him and I thought, that doesn't make any sense to me. He selected the team last night. Why is he saying that? And I thought, someone could be injured or ill. You're in India, often
can happen, yeah.
Bad stomach and stuff. And I looked around the team in the bus, because Fletch would sit always at the front as I went past him, and I thought, the whole squad is here. And I sort of counted in my head, and I thought, no, everyone's here. If you're ill, you don't come to the ground. You're ill, mate. You're in bed. And so I thought he was just trying to, sometimes, like Fletch was quite renowned for playing games, mind games and all that sort of stuff. So I thought maybe he's just trying to mess with my head a little bit. And I just sort of ignored it. I didn't really worry about playing. I didn't think, I thought, whatever. I had my headphones on. I was listening to music. I was like, whatever, mate. I got to the ground and I didn't get changed. The team was, sort of getting dressed for the warm-up to get throwdowns and stuff like that. I just thought, I can't be bothered. I'm just going to be 12th man for the next 5 days. Why do I need to hit balls? Because the last test, after 5 days, we're going home, and I'll hit some balls when I get home. And after sitting around, and all of a sudden, Alistair Cook was sitting next to me. He came into the dressing room, and he was sitting there next to me, and I noticed him crying. And I said, Cookie, are you okay, mate? And he said, yeah, I'm okay, but I'm not playing this test match. I've been ill the whole night, and I'm struggling. And that's when I realised what Fletch meant as to prepare to play. So I went, okay. So I quickly took my headphones off. I grabbed my batting stuff. I went out there. I had hit some balls. So I thought, geez, this is my test match. And that's when I realised I'm going to be playing. So again, I didn't have the whole restless night. I was actually disappointed not to be picked. I didn't have the restless night of, play a whole innings in your head. I was actually pretty chilled out, and funny enough, Andrew Flintoff was captain, and he gave me my test cap.
I was going to ask, who gave you your test cap?
Andrew Flintoff, the guy who replaced me, then I replaced him, Funny enough, Freddie ended up giving my test cap, which was a really nice moment. A good friend of mine, and it was really cool that that was him that sort of gave me my test cap, and ended up getting 88 runs in my first innings.
But then did it then disappoint you that you had to wait so long to play your second test match?
Extremely disappointed. I couldn't understand why I was dropped. I felt that I came in to the test match.
Did they give you reasons?
So we all went home, and at the start of the summer, the first test, I wasn't in, and David Graveney rang me and said, you're not in, and I couldn't understand why. I guess Michael Vaughan and Triscothick or whoever were trying to come back into the team, which is fine, but surely you would have found some way of squeezing me in, because if you get a debut 88 and 38 in the second innings, surely you warrant selection. What else are you supposed to do? And extremely disappointed with the England setup. I didn't feel at that time I was treated very fairly. and I ended up actually having to wait 1.5 years for my second test, which came at Lords against the West Indies when I actually wasn't playing very well.
So going back to that period where you didn't get picked, I know I touched on it, but did they just say go back to county cricket? Did they say they wanted to get the other players back in, or was it a case of you're not in and that was it?
I think it was just a case of you're not in. Obviously, I went on to replace Michael Triscothick. He wasn't obviously fit enough, so he flew back. And they said, look, these guys are going to come back in, which is fine. I understand that. But what I couldn't understand is why I couldn't replace another guy who hasn't performed. So that's the bit that I didn't quite understand why I wasn't picked. And it was very disappointing, of course. But it is what it is. What can I do? All I could do is go back to county cricket and try and get some runs. And
so you get the opportunity again 15 months later at your home ground.
At my home ground against West Indies. I didn't
quite go your way.
No, it didn't. No, I didn't play very well. And again, look, it can happen. You get an opportunity, you come in, you almost tried a bit too hard at times. Because
I think it was the innings where like the other players got big runs.
Correct. But I think
it's difficult, isn't it?
It was difficult, but for me, I guess I wanted to, because I was quite disappointed in the fact that it took him 1.5 years to give me my next opportunity. I just really wanted to prove a point, and I wasn't probably, looking back on it now, in the best frame of mind. I should have been gone out there to try and play my best cricket. I was going out there to prove a point. And to me, that's not the best way to play sport. You've got to go and just enjoy the moment and play your best game. You shouldn't be worrying about, well, if I get runs here, I can prove a point to the press or to the selectors. I believe that's a wrong frame of mind to be playing any sport in. Because you're thinking about the future or the outcome and what impact it will have on how you perform. I don't believe that is the correct way. And it didn't surprise me. I ended up getting 2 low scores and then dropped again for another year, which again I couldn't understand. Then why was I brought in for 1 test match? I must be doing something right. That's why I got that test opportunity, and then boom, you're gone after 2 innings. Yes, I didn't score many runs, but geez, if you're going to bring people in for just 1 test match and then drop them, that's quite harsh.
Do you think they also saw you more as a one-day player? Because I know that, you've played, 70 odd one-day internationals. And 2007, against that series against India, you got your maiden ODI 100. Do you reckon they saw you more as a one-day player?
I think they perhaps did see me as a more one-day player. But my 4-day stats, I reckon, were probably better for Middlesex than they were at one-day cricket. So I don't really know how they sort of...
Did you have a preference of which format to play, or was it the case of
always play
you
test
just wanted
cricket?
to play? Yeah.
Of course. It's all about playing test match cricket.
That was the pinnacle for you?
Of course. I think it was for any cricketer at that time to be playing test match cricket for your country, and that's what I was desperately wanting to do. And I was also at a club, Middlesex, who really push and really put all the energy into 4-day cricket. So I was raised that way, learning all my cricket from the days of watching Ramps and Fraser and Tufnell and Gatting play. It was all about 4-day cricket. So that's why I was sort of raised in the cricketing circles. And of course it was about playing test match cricket for my country. And yeah, look, if they saw me as a one-day player, I can't really help that, because obviously I did have other shots that I could, tap into, which are probably the norm now. I guess perhaps I was maybe ahead of my time. I don't know. But I certainly addressed my 4-day form, and my numbers are there. They add up, averaging, like you said, in 2004, 2005. I had some really good first-class years in the first-class game. So, yeah, it is what it is. Opportunities were there, I guess, in whatever form came my way. And I was just desperate to play for England. That's all it was. And
I touched on it there. You got 100 against India in 2007. A proud moment for yourself?
Oh, of course. And,
lifting the helmet off.
Of course. Anytime you play for your country is a proud moment. But to go out there and perform is even better. And, of course, to get 100 for a batsman is huge. It was against India, who I've played a lot of cricket against. And yeah, it was just a great moment at the Oval. We were actually in a bit of bother. I remember we were, I think, 65 for 4 or 65 for 5, something like that. And then me and Luke Wright got a partnership going. And then eventually, right at the end of the innings, Dimi Mascarenhas came and hit those 5 sixes of Yuvraj Singh.
Yeah.
Thanks to MS Dhoni bowling a left-arm spinner last over of the innings, which was a bit bizarre. Sorry, not MS Dhoni, it was Sourav Ganguly, the captain. And yeah, look, it worked reasonably well. I think we got 300 plus. But unfortunately for us, we ended up losing the game. Sachin Tendulkar got 99.
Sachin, Saurav came out, and then Robin Uthappa.
Yep, but Tendulkar got a 99, and that was a bulk of the runs. And Robin Uthappa, I think, ended up seeing India home. But it was a great series.
You ever mentioned with the ball, though, in that match?
Yes, I got Rahul Dravid out.
With your offies?
Yes, with my offies, a long hop, I ended up bowling. What happened, as I bowled it, my toe cramped. So I sort of buckled. And doing that, I dragged the ball down. And it turned out to be a long hop, but I do not know how. He just managed to flick it straight to Paul Collingwood at mid-wicket, who took a really good catch. And I couldn't believe my luck. All of a sudden, I had Rahul Dravid out. The wall, one of the greatest batsmen to ever played the game. I managed to get him out. And yeah, it was a super, super proud moment. I just wish we could have gone on and win the game.
Did you enjoy bowling?
I loved it. I absolutely loved bowling. I also got Kumar Sangakkara out, who was another big scalp of mine. Yeah, I love bowling. And the more and more I played in the one-day game, I got more and more opportunity to bowl 2 or 3 overs every game, where I felt I could contribute. I actually loved being involved in the game by bowling and things like that. So yeah, it was enjoyable, very enjoyable.
And then in that period, you go back in the summer, you helped Middlesex in 2008 win the T20.
Yes,
tournament.
The T20 Cup, yes. I wouldn't say I helped Middlesex. I would say I probably helped them in the final. Right throughout the summer, I mean, I was playing for England a lot, so I didn't really have time to play many games for Middlesex that summer. But I know
finals day was your day, wasn't it?
Correct. So we had a wonderful tournament. I think Ed Joyce was captain, and he had a really good tournament, and the team was doing really well. Owen Morgan was part of the team, who's obviously a World Cup winning captain now, and a phenomenal England player. And I remember that finals day I was available, so I ended up playing. I didn't do much in the semi-final. I got I think 15 or 20 not out, because a guy called Tyrone Henderson, who was an all-rounder for us, he ended up getting runs in the semi-final against Durham, and in the final against Kent is when I sort of perhaps took the glory and got about 70 or 80 odd.
Smashed them over the ropes, didn't you?
Correct. I had a really, really good final and ended up winning a trophy for Middlesex.
Again, as your boyhood club?
Yep, boyhood club. And I never really won much with Middlesex, and that was the one piece of silverware that we won. I guess when I sort of established myself at Middlesex as a regular first-team player, we were going in a bit of a transition stage. We never really had good enough bowlers, I think, at Middlesex to win trophies. Middlesex always generally produced a lot of good batsmen, likes of Strauss and Joyce, who've both played international cricket, myself. But on the bowling front, I think we lacked talent, I guess, in terms of being able to be, that extra special group of bowlers who could go on and win a championship or a tournament. I just think we struggled with that. But T20 was something where we sort of gelled a group of guys who knew exactly what we were doing. It was very much held by a couple of very, very good spinners in Sean Udall and Kartik Murali from India. So they would play bulk of the overs for us, who were very good short form cricketers. And then obviously around that we had a couple of decent seamers who could do a job. But then again, our batting was our strength, I think. And it didn't really surprise me that we went on to win that T20 tournament.
And that winter, you go on tour to the West Indies. Frank, you didn't play the first Test match, but once they dropped Ian Bell, you got your opportunity. Didn't quite go your...
No, it didn't go that well. I was sort of found myself again in that frame of mind of proving the selectors right, and I was almost a bit too desperate for that opportunity, to take that opportunity, sorry. I remember clearly I got an opportunity in Barbados to play, and and I didn't perform. And I remember thinking to myself, I want this too much. I need to try and relax and just take it in my stride. But again, the second test that I played, I got a 50 odd in that. And then the next 2 test matches, one in Trinidad and one in Barbados, didn't go to plan. And again, I found myself out of the test team, which again, I thought, well, that's a bit bizarre. You give someone 2 test matches now, not performing. And again, you're out of the test team. So I found it really, really strange that I didn't get a longer run, perhaps.
What do you think the reason was?
I don't know, because if you look at other players, they do get a longer run than just 2 test matches. And I don't know. I really do not know why I felt I was given a couple of test matches and say, he hasn't scored runs, let's get him out of the team. I really don't know. Perhaps...
Do you think you were the exception to the rule, which is unfortunate for yourself? But...
I really don't know. I find it difficult to understand why I was. But it was very tough to understand the selection at the time. And I found myself out of the team. And yeah, just playing one-day cricket for England.
So you're just saying you're back in the ODI side against Australia. You score a 44 there. You play in the Champions Trophy. You get a 98 against South Africa. How do you reckon that tournament went for you though?
I actually thought I played reasonably well in that ICC Champions Trophy. I got a 98, then I got some runs against Sri Lanka.
Got 44 again?
Yeah, I got a 44 against Sri Lanka on a tricky wicket in Joburg. Playing against Muralitharan, I thought we played well. And then at the end of that tour, I thought I actually had a reasonable tournament. I found myself out of the testing, out of the one-day team.
Even though you were a contracted player as well.
I wasn't a central contract. I had an incremental contract with England. But I found myself out of the team. I don't know. I don't really know. I had a feeling that at that time, Andy Flower, Andrew Strauss, and maybe also the ECB wanted a lot of cricketers who were playing Test cricket into the one-day team as well. And I think Jonathan Trott was playing Test cricket at that time. So maybe they wanted me to be out of it and maybe bring Trott in. And as it turned out, that is exactly what happened. Which I thought was a bit harsh, but I felt I was doing a good enough job for England. Like I said, I had a decent one-day tournament.
Again, was there any reasoning given, or was it just a case of...
I just got dropped. Andy Flower rang me. I was at the IPL and they just said, you're not being consistent enough. Which I thought was harsh.
Yeah, what was your response to that?
I couldn't really understand where he was going with saying that I wasn't consistent enough, because prior to him dropping me, if you look at back the 12 months before in England one-day international cricket, I was the leading run scorer. I had more runs than Kevin Peterson or anyone other batsman in England for England. So I'm not really sure at what stage he thought I was inconsistent. So that's the main reason he said that, you're not being consistent enough. So yeah, we're going to drop you. What do you say to that? I mean, the stats speak for themselves. So I don't really know where to go with this. And I think I said it in the interview. I couldn't really understand it. I tried to get in touch with Andy Flower to have a discussion. I think he was in South Africa. Because Hugh Morris, I remember Hugh Morris, who was a director of cricket at that time, he said, what's this in the newspaper? I said, well, it's true. How have I been dropped? I don't really get it. So I think he said, look, Andy's not happy. I said, if he's not happy, that's fine. I wouldn't mind speaking to him.
Do you regret giving that kind of interview?
No, not really. No. Why would I regret it? It's fact. I'm not stating anything that I've made up. It's a fact that I had the most runs. So I must have been consistent at some stage prior to those 12 months and then obviously being dropped. So that didn't make any sense. And I think I was trying to get hold of Andy Flower. I couldn't get hold of him. He was in South Africa. I left a message, but I don't think he ever got back to me. So yeah, I got dropped for apparently being inconsistent, but I did score the most runs.
And you didn't play for England again?
And then I didn't play for England again, and that was the last time I played for England. So yeah, I found it really strange after that tournament, in ICC tournament in South Africa. I thought I did okay enough to warrant selection. But
so how would you summarise your whole England career then? You get opportunities and they get taken away from you. As you say, you're scoring runs and then dropped. How do you reflect back on it? You've played at the highest level, your dream, but do you feel a bit bitter, or
a lot of
or
people,
you're just grateful for the opportunity?
A lot of people say to me that, unfulfilled talent, and I often hear that, and I think, you know what, people who say that don't realise how I was treated, and I don't think I was treated very fair. I like to think that.
Why don't you think you were treated fairly?
I just told you
because
how does someone get dropped after 2 bad test matches when other people get a longer run? How does someone get told you're inconsistent and get dropped from the one-day team when you're the highest run scorer in the last 12 months for England? How can that be right?
Was there other reasons? Was there a clash of character between yourself and the coach, or was it just a case of?
If there was a clash of character, he didn't really come up to me and say, "Hey man, I don't like your character. Change your character." I would have. Why? Because I wanted to play for England. I don't care what I've had to take. I wanted to play for England. That's all I ever wanted to do. And to answer your question, how do I sum up my career? I thought I was unfortunate, unlucky, in terms of I didn't get the backing I felt I deserved compared to what other players got. People might say, unfulfilled talent. I don't agree. If you would have given me a proper opportunity, I would have shown people what I could have done. Wasn't backed enough or long enough compared to some other people have been backed a lot longer. But it is what it is. That's how sport is. It's not fair. Life is not fair. So you got to accept it and you got to move on. And to say, you know what? That is how that chapter of my life was. I tried my best. I know I sleep at night thinking, yep, I tried my best. It didn't quite work out. Maybe there's something else I can do in my life which is even greater and give me more satisfaction. So we'll wait and see what that is. So it is what it is, man. I'm quite happy with what I've done. I've played all forms of cricket for England. I've played in all the leagues in the world. I've absolutely loved it. I've absolutely loved it. Not many people can say that they've done what I've done, especially telling you where I've come from. And the journey I've had with my parents moving to England when I was 14, when I signed professionally, it was because of me, to secure my future. To say, okay, well, he's got an opportunity. Okay, we will leave England and Pakistan, come here and obviously support him and build a home around him so that he can sort of flourish and have a career and things like that. And I like to think I've sort of repaid them. I haven't pissed it up, as they say. I've sort of repaid them. And I'm respected in the cricketing circles for doing what I've done. And I'm truly proud of it.
So was it hurtful in 2010 when Middlesex decided not to renew your contract?
Yes, extremely hurtful. I thought it was terribly managed by Angus Fraser, who was director of cricket at the time.
In the sense, what, did he not give you true reasoning, or? Well,
they said, a couple of things. Firstly, they leaked the fact that I was being released by my contract before telling me. I actually found out from the newspaper that I'm going to get released.
Right.
Which I thought was extremely unprofessional on Angus Fraser and Middlesex's part. I thought that they should have had the courtesy to ring me and say, look, this is what's happening. Instead, they said, look, come in for a meeting. And I knew what the meeting was for because the newspaper already told me you're getting released from your contract. You're getting released from the club that you've been, part of your everything since the age of 10, 11. And he said, look, we're not going to renew your contract. And I was extremely disappointed because they said that my form, I guess, hadn't been good enough in 2010 in 4-day cricket. And I agree 100%. I scored like 700-800 runs, which is not really good enough, which is fine. But if you go back prior to 2010, who had scored the most runs for that club since I've been playing in 4-day cricket? And that was me. In 2010, Who was the leading one-day scorer at the club? Me. Who was the leading T20 scorer at the club? Me. So basically, they've sacked me on the basis of not having a good enough 4-day season for 1 year. That was extremely hurtful and terribly dealt with.
Yeah, it must be extremely hard. As you said, you've just grown up through that whole club.
Yeah.
But you then joined Essex.
Yep.
How did that relationship come about? Did they approach you?
So I spoke to the Essex coach about possibly moving. And yeah, look, a couple of the players who played there were a couple of my friends, and they said, look, we could do with a batsman of your quality. Why don't you come and speak to the coach? And my agent sort of went ahead and spoke to Essex, and they were interested, and it made a lot of sense because where I live in North London, I didn't have to move home. I could just drive the other way rather than go towards Lords. I go towards Chelmsford, and it took the same amount of time. I just go and play my cricket there. And at that time, to be honest, I was playing a lot of T20 cricket all over the world.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, so at that time I was playing in South Africa, India at the IPL, Big Bash in Australia, Bangladesh League. So I was playing all these leagues, and I was playing county cricket. So I had a busy 12 months. And I just thought, Essex will be fine. I know the guys, I know the coach. And I thoroughly enjoyed my cricket at Essex. I actually really, really enjoyed my cricket. Where I think it was a fresh start, and I didn't have the frustrations that I had at Middlesex, where I felt that the club hadn't really moved forward. They're not the most forward-thinking club, unfortunately, as big as they are. I felt that they struggled in terms of I felt that they could have done a lot more to change the Middlesex way, which I think has not really worked in the last, 20 years. Yes, we've won the T20 trophy. Yes, Middlesex won the championship not long ago. But as a club, I find they're very, very stuck in the dark ages. It doesn't help with committees and things like that are there, and they think very, what's the word? Sort of just an old-fashioned way of thinking. I don't think they're dynamic enough to get better cricketers to the club. And also the youth system is, in my view, is not producing enough cricketers from the system that go on and play for Middlesex. The reason for that, I'm not really sure what it is, but I think there are issues that need to be addressed. But it is what it is.
And you talk about the major tournaments you played around the world as well. What was your favourite? What was it like to play in the IPL, the Big Bash?
Yeah, there's only one, mate. IPL is the best tournament in the world. Yes, the financial rewards are ridiculously high compared to every other tournament in the world. But just the whole buzz about the tournament is probably the best there is. The noise at the ground, the build-up of the games, the kind of cricketers you're playing with and against. Every single game is like sky high. And just the whole enjoyment level in the country is amazing. The
festival feel.
Yeah, it's just amazing. It's on the news. It's like the people in the hotel know exactly what's going on, and everyone's talking about it. You can't escape it. It's a hard 6 weeks.
How many editions of the IPL did you play?
I played 5 years in IPL. Yeah, and loved every minute of it. I love touring India or playing in India.
Which teams did you play for?
I played in Delhi. Yeah. I played in Kochi Tuskers. I played for KKR. I played 2 years at Rajasthan Royals. That was my 5 years at the IPL. And also the Big Bash is a lot of fun. I like Australia. It's a little bit more relaxed in terms of how much cricket is played, because obviously there's less teams and you only generally play on the weekends, so you've got the whole week to do your build-up and also have some time off, which is really nice in a place like Australia. And Big Bash is really, really a lot of fun and tough cricket. The Aussie cricket is quite tough, and you've got to perform. Otherwise, if you're not performing, you soon get reminded that you're the import and you're not good enough. So I quite like that challenge of sort of carrying the English flag out in Australia, and to say, we know how to play 2020 cricket, and I ended up doing quite well out there for Hobart Hurricanes.
And obviously then back home, you had a little stint playing for Hampshire as well.
Yes, I had a couple of years at Hampshire just playing T20 cricket. I think that time I'd retired from 4-day cricket. I sort of fell out of love with 4-day cricket because I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel for me to play for England. For me, it was always about just playing for England. That's the reason I played 4-day cricket, is to go on and play for England. But once that, I guess, a recall had sort of disappeared and I sort of faced up to reality, my heart wasn't in it. I didn't want to be out there playing for Essex, playing a 4-hour 100 or 5-hour 100 just for a pat on the back. That wasn't enough for me. I wanted that England lure to say, you know, if you get 200-300 here, they might call you back. When that wasn't happening, I just didn't want to do it. So I was happy playing short form cricket and T20 cricket, which I absolutely loved, and I just wanted to enjoy it. But unfortunately, Essex couldn't give me a small contract, a short form contract. So I ended up getting one at Hampshire, and yeah, enjoyed my time there. And yeah, really, really enjoyed it, and give me time to also plan life after cricket, which I think is really important. So I sort of did that while I was at Hampshire, so I had enough time. And yeah, really, really happy with how it sort of panned out.
And then you just said, like, post your playing career, you had a little stint in the UAE coaching?
Yes, I got an opportunity coaching the UAE men's as a head coach, which was quite interesting. I absolutely loved it.
How did that come about?
So the UAE were touring England. They were touring Scotland or something, or maybe Holland, and they had a pre-season at Southampton where I helped the interim coach at that time, Paul Franks. And I guess the guys really loved what I did, and they were like, well, you know, maybe we could have him as head coach. And I ended up becoming head coach for 3 or 4 months. And I really, really enjoyed relating to the guys and understanding their culture and trying to understand how they go about their cricket, and trying to sort of install professionalism from my experience into their day-to-day cricket. And yeah, it was a really, really good experience. I absolutely loved it. And I would love to get more opportunities like that. And yeah, I've recently been asked to go to the Bangladesh Premier League as a head coach of Rajshahi Royals. So I've got my first stint as a head coach in the T20 format now. So yeah, I'm hoping to do a bit more coaching and get involved in...
Is coaching the ambition moving
yeah,
forward?
I think I really do enjoy coaching. I also enjoy other stuff away from cricket. I am into some real estate in England, trying to do property developing here. But you know, as far as cricket is concerned, I still love cricket. It's in my blood. I really feel I can give back to the game. And obviously, now that the playing career is done, coaching is the way forward, I think, to give back to the game, to pass the knowledge on to the youngsters, and you know, just try and sort of see if I can help young guys sort of achieve their goals quicker and in a better way than I did. So you know, there's plenty of talent in England, but I want to see if I can help some guys and recognize certain phases of people's careers, to how they're sort of coping with say, pressure, or how they're dealing with success, how they're dealing with disappointment. I feel I can relate to that and try and help them through, and to just make the learning process a bit quicker.
Well, Owais, thank you very much for your time today. Fantastic career. Good luck with the coaching. Thank you for your time today.
No problem. Thanks, Neel.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cricket Life Stories, Neel Khagram, Owais Shah. Thank you.